I woke up, gasping for air. Another bad dream. These have been happening recently, but I never remembered them despite waking up terrified. I got out of my bed and left the room I was in. It seemed a bit quiet today. I watched as some scientists were rubbing their eyes as they left their rooms. I quickly made my way to the medical bay, only to run into Bryson. "Hi, Bryson," I said. "Hello, Travis," he said, darting his eyes around before leaning in close to me. "Don't do anything stupid. The inspectors are here," he whispered, and quickly hurried off. I wanted to ask who the inspectors were, but he was already gone. I continued through the halls, searching for where the medical bay was, until I finally found it. I reached to open the door when I noticed two large signs above the door. It read, "Employees," and the other one said, "Patients." I shuddered, as they were referring to cryptids as patients. I walked into the door that was below the sign saying "Patients." I walked inside to see many steel doors with labels on the side. I looked inside tiny windows and saw many horrible things. One was a long, stretched-out creature with white skin. It has dark eyes, and it was screeching endlessly behind the soundproofed walls. Another was a large octopus that seemed to be able to breathe out of water. I watched as it showed its many sharp tentacles and bumps on its skin that billowed large portions of grey gas into the air. I continued forth, but after 10 minutes of searching through many rooms, I couldn't find Darius. I heard some guards coming and hid in a random room in the far back, only to be met with Darius himself. He was in a large cage and had many bandages on his arms. "Darius?" I asked, hoping he was awake. I watched as he pulled himself off the floor and looked shocked to see me.
"Travis, what are you doing here?"
he said in a booming voice. "I was just checking up on you," I said, but he cut me off.
"No, you don't understand. The only people allowed in here are scientists. You will be killed if you are caught," he said frantically.
"I can't leave. There are guards outside this room," I loudly whispered as shadows appeared in the window. I felt my heart race as the shadow grew closer. Suddenly, I was back in my father's cabin. I looked around in shock to see my father fighting off a large spider. I tried to tell him to get out of the way, but I couldn't speak. Another spider landed on top of him, and they both tore him to shreds.
"Travis! Travis! Travis!"
Darius yelled, sending me out of my nightmare. I was on the floor when I heard the door click. I quickly rolled under the table as two guards walked in with a scientist. "Hello again, Subject B21. I am Inspector Harrison, and I have brought special news for you today."
"My name is Darius,"
he said coldly. "We will not call you by a deluded nickname you gave yourself," the inspector retorted. "I have come to inform you that you are going on a special mission. If you are able to complete the mission, we will possibly hire you on Division 6. If not, then you will die," the inspector stated, and grinned as the words sunk in.
"What is the mission?"
Darius asked. "Well, it is classified, and unlike our director, everyone else doesn't give out information like Halloween candy," he spat, obvious hate in his voice. "You're leaving tomorrow, whether you like it or not," the inspector finished, and left with the guards. I crawled out of my hiding spot and looked at Darius to tell him something, but he spoke up before me.
"Travis, you are not to burden yourself with me, even if we are best friends. I am probably going on a mission to my death, and I don't want you taking part in it. Please, just go," he said grimly.
"No! We are friends, Darius. I'm not going to just leave you to die," I protested. "I'll break you out of here, later tonight, 9 p.m, all right?" I stated.
"Travis, you can't do this alone,"
he said. "You're right. And that's why I have someone helping me," I said confidently. He sighed and sat back down in his cage. I took one last look at my best friend before leaving. I was going to break him out of there. The rest of the day went by in a blur. I talked to Bryson and convinced him to help me with breaking out Darius. We had gotten everything prepared, and tonight we were all going to escape. At 8 p.m. exactly, I got out of my bed and left my room, immediately running towards a familiar room. I put on a pair of oddly shaped glasses that was in a bucket nearby, as well as some headphones. I waited as Bryson made his way over here and did the same thing I had done. We opened the door and didn't look directly at the orbs as we let them out. The glasses protected us from most of their abilities, but if we looked at them directly, we would be susceptible to the effects. They immediately flew towards us, but we darted away, towards the room with the monster that had previously broken containment. We let him out, and he ran towards us, but was pretty slow for a cryptid. We continued letting out many other cryptids, like wendigos, giant worms, and many others. After we let out at least 10 of the cryptids, we ran towards the medical bay. Bryson took out a gun and immediately started firing into the room, killing 2 of the 3 guards at the scene. The third took cover and went to pull out his gun, but Bryson was really good at shooting guns because he sent a shot that ricocheted off the wall behind the guard and killed him. We ran to Darius's cell and tried our best to break open the cage, but it was no use. We were not strong enough. I found a key in one of the cabinets nearby and unlocked the cage, letting out Darius and escaping the cell just as the alarms went off that a breach had happened. The cell we were just in snapped shut and bolted itself in the blink of an eye.
Travis, thank you,
Darius said, a smile forming on his face. No problem, Darius, I said, as we ran down the corridor.
All right, big guy, it's your turn to help us now. Break open this door and we are home free.
Bryson was cut off by the click of a gun behind us. No, I whispered to myself. Inspector Harrison walked towards us, a crazed smile on his face as he aimed the gun directly at Bryson. Well, 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 he said with a bemused look on his face. Subject B21, trying to escape, I see, he taunted. You won't get away with this, I yelled. Get away with what? Preserving our race, saving innocent lives. You really are deluded, kid. You were never meant to be here. Another mistake by the director, he sneered. You can't justify doing experiments on cryptids that mean no harm, Bryson said. I've worked at this place for the past couple of months, and the only thing I've learned was that the only people who work here are those who were lied to, or psychopaths like you, Bryson ranted. You weren't a valuable asset anyway, Davidson, he said. We heard the guards enter the hallway and surround us, guns pointed at every one of us. Bryson attempted to aim and fire at Harrison, but the guards saw this, and one of them shot the gun out of Bryson's hand. We were all detained, and we were about to be sent to the director, when the familiar orbs appeared and started attacking everyone nearby. I grabbed Bryson and went to run, but the orbs were upon us. I closed my eyes, but nothing happened. I opened my eyes again to see Darius grab the orbs with his large paw and thrust the orbs into the wall nearby. They were destroyed. Darius then quickly got to work decimating any remaining guards. I saw Harrison run off and went to go after him when a familiar face appeared. The cuspid from the previous breach launched at me and tackled me to the ground. I punched and kicked at the cryptid, but it was no use. It drew its large mouth closer, preparing to take a bite out of my chest, when Darius thrust his fist into the monster, destroying its skeletal structure. Darius, you saved me! I was astonished.
That's what best friends are for, right?
He asked, but he was interrupted by a growl. The cuspid got back up, looking as if it was brand new, and charged at us again. It latched onto Darius and began biting at his head, putting immense pressure on Darius' skull. I thought Darius was done for, when a shot ran off and the cuspid was sent flying back by a bullet from Bryson's direction. Me and Darius looked back to see that Bryson had one of the guards' guns. We immediately went to the door and Darius smashed his fist into it until it had broken completely off its hinges. We were all able to get out and Darius placed the door back in case the cuspid regenerated before we could escape. We ran towards the tree line to make an escape when I realised we weren't going to make it far on foot. I told the others about this and Darius grabbed me and Bryson and placed us on his back. I was confused, but then I realised he has been walking really slow the entire time, so he didn't get ahead of us. He was surprisingly fast for how large he was, and the facility was fading from the horizon in minutes. After about an hour, Darius took a break from running, and me and Bryson looked around for anything to inform us of the location we were in. We were able to find a motel not far off, where me and Bryson slept in. Darius preferred sleeping outside. We had barely enough cash for one night at the motel, and we had no supplies or food. We asked the clerk where we were, and apparently we were at Yellowstone National Park. Crazy coincidence. Darius decided to scare away the people in the motel after me and Bryson cut the power. It worked flawlessly, and we now had a place to sleep for a few days, and a bunch of supplies. We found backpacks and stocked up on food and other necessities, like water and gear, for the next couple of weeks. I thought we were in the clear when we saw a note at the front desk of the motel when we came back from exploring Yellowstone National Park that evening. It read, "Hello subject B21. You have not escaped us, nor will you ever. You are to complete the mission here or die along with your friends. You can be forgiven as you are a beast and not as intelligent as other species. If you fail this mission, then you are to be terminated and killed. Your mission is to explore the forest of Yellowstone National Park and look for anything out of place. If you encounter a pilgrim..." Darius ripped the paper into shreds in a bout of fury and slammed his fists onto the front desk.
"Geez, they insulted you and want you to do their dirty work. Harsh,"
Bryson said. Bryson was built like your average cop and acted like one too. He had black hair and was around 5'11". He had a deep tone, but not as deep as Darius's. I watched as he sighed and handed me his gun.
"Hey, I have an AK-47, so you can have this. Treat her well,"
he said, handing me his Desert Eagle. "Thanks," I said. We all went to sleep rather quickly that night. Well, except me. I was determined to figure out what I was having nightmares about. I started reading some books about the human psyche, but I could barely understand the words. I should have paid more attention to my English teacher, I thought to myself, deciding to go to sleep. I woke up in a thick forest, filled to the brim with shadows, all of them looking at me and laughing. I tried to escape, but my father grabbed me and dragged me towards the shadows. I screamed and kicked, but it seemed like it was no use. I felt scratches edge into me, and the shadows started crawling onto me. I kicked and squirmed, desperate to escape, when I felt a sharp, cold sensation wash over me. I blinked to see me being held tightly by Darius, as Bryson had a bucket of water in his hand, now empty as the water was now on the floor, and on me and Darius. I was about to ask what was going on when Darius put his paw to my mouth and pointed towards the window, where we all watched as armed guards entered the motel. Bryson has an escape plan of jumping out of the window, but I doubt anyone but Darius could fall that far and still have their legs intact. Darius wants to barge through them all, but me and Bryson both know it would most likely fail unless we had a good plan. I quickly recorded this on the only computer that was in the room as I think of a plan to escape. Darius said we should escape through the window while holding on to him. It sounds like a plan.